everyone, and welcome back to Learning Photoshop with Mr.C. In this tutorial we will be focusing on the selection tools in Photoshop. If you watched my previous videos, this may be remedial, but it's always good to practice tools more than once for true memorization. If you're just joining me now for the first time, welcome to my channel. To follow along, you can access the files I am working with in a Google Drive folder within the description. Otherwise, feel free to pause and take notes as needed. I would like to begin this tutorial with a brief rundown on the different types of selections that can be made in Photoshop. There are geometric selections, freehand selections, edge-based selections, and color-based selections. A geometric selection can select a rectangular area in an image, an elliptical area, or a single row or single pixel column. A freehand selection can be used for more organic shapes and can be traced by hand. An edge-based selection can automatically find and define edges in an image, and a colored-based selection selects part of an image based on a range of colors defined by the cursor. Please note that in the top left-hand corner you have an options bar. These tools will give you alternatives to whatever you are using, whether it be the Lasso Tool, Marquee Tool, or Magic Wand Tool. Okay, let's get started. First we will go to the Layers panel, and we will double click on the background locked layer so that way we can unlock it and rename it. I'm simply going to call it Edit. The first tool we are going to use is going to be the Quick Selection tool, which is over on the left hand side tool panel, or W on your keyboard. We are going to select the cheeseburger that is off to the right. We may need to scale up our brush size just a little bit by using the open and close brackets, which is above your return key, or you can go up to the very top and choose a different pixel size for your brush. In order to select the cheeseburger, you are going to click, hold, and drag on the cheeseburger so that way the pixels are selected. The contrast of the colors in the cheeseburger and the very white background will help the computer generate a selection. After we have made a selection, you could see surrounding the burger is a dashed line that is constantly spinning and rotating around the edges. This means that our burger is selected. After our burger is selected, we're going to use the Move tool, or V, on your keyboard to move the cheeseburger onto the plate. You'll notice that we leave an empty space behind, but that's because we are moving pixels of an image onto another part of the same image without any background chosen behind. The transparent grid, as you see, means that there is no artwork in that area. One thing you may or may not have noticed is that it is difficult for us to move the cheeseburger once it has been on the plate. That is because we're moving pixels from one part of the image to another without creating a new layer. We are going to move the cheeseburger back, and we are going to cut the cheeseburger and paste it into a new layer. So that way we can move the cheeseburger with ease. We will have to repeat this process for all objects that we are trying to move to the plate. We must make sure that each object gets a named layer, separate from the original. Now that we are done moving our selected area, being our cheeseburger, we are going to select the special sauce at the bottom, using the Elliptical Marquee tool. Select the Elliptical Marquee tool hidden under the Rectangular Marquee tool in your Tools panel on the left. Move your cursor over the dipping bowl and drag diagonally across the oval bowl to create a selection, but do not release the mouse button. It's okay if the selection does not match the bowl shape yet. While still holding the mouse button, you can press the spacebar to move your selection. When the selection border is positioned perfectly, release the mouse button. Repeat the same process that we did with the cheeseburger by cutting the dipping sauce from the artboard and pasting it into a new layer appropriately titled. For our next selection, we are going to select the fries. The fries will be a little bit more difficult because they are not a geometric shape and they do not have a very particular defined edge as there are too many edges, so we cannot use the Quick Selection tool. What we are going to do is use the Rectangular Marquee tool in conjunction with the Magic Wand tool. The Magic Wand tool is a colored-based selection tool. There is a wide range of yellows and dark yellows in this image. So using the Rectangular Marquee tool, we are going to select an area surrounding the fries and we're going to use the alternative Subtract from Selection tool and click on the white areas. At this point, the french fries in the white background area are selected, and you'll subtract the white area from the selection so that only the french fries remain. A minus sign appears next to the wand in the cursor icon. Anything you select now will be subtracted from the initial selection. Now all the white pixels are deselected, leaving the french fries perfectly selected. Now that we have covered the quick selection tool and the magic wand tool, we are going to be working with the lasso tool. The lasso tool and its variations, the polygonal lasso tool and the magnetic lasso tool, are freehand selection tools. Photoshop includes 3 lasso tools: the lasso tool, the polygonal lasso tool, and the magnetic lasso tool. You can use the lasso tools to make selections that require both freehand and straight lines using keyboard shortcuts. We're going to start by selecting the lasso tool and dragging around the ketchup, tracing the shape as accurately as possible. Do not release the mouse button. Once you let go of the mouse button, the selection completes itself, even if you are not at an endpoint. If you mess up your selection, you can always hit Command Z to edit undo, or you can always go up to the top and hit Select Deselect, or Command D. However, if you finish your selection, you can always alter it, keeping in mind that in the top left options panel, you can add to selection and subtract from selection to get the perfect selection. You'll see that there are areas of the ketchup that I have too much background or I'm cutting out parts of the ketchup, but I can modify the selection. Continuing with the lasso tools, you can use the magnetic lasso tool to make a freehand selection of an area with high contrast edges. When you draw with the magnetic lasso tool, the selection border automatically snaps to the edge between the areas of contrast. You can also control the selection path by occasionally clicking the mouse to place another anchor point in the selection border. If there is an anchor point that you want to get rid of, simply hit the delete key to delete one anchor point back. So now that we've finished our pickle selection, we actually want to transform it, and we want to scale it down. One of the rudimentary ways that you could do that is going to Edit, Transform, Scale. But we'll go over a shortcut soon. After we select Scale, we're going to pinch at one of the corners while holding Shift and scale it down. We're going to create 2 more pickle slices. In order to create more pickle slices, we have to hover over the original. While we hover over the original, you're going to hold Option if you're using Mac, or Alt-Shift if you're using Windows, and drag a new copy of the pickle chip. We will do this for a second time, so that we have 3 pickle chips.
I turned myself into a pickle! I'm Pickle Rick!
So for the parsley, I'm going to do the same thing that I've done for the French fries, which is select the marquee around the parsley and deselect the white background. When I'm done with the selection and when I'm done moving it to the plate, I do want to transform it by rotating it. And to do so, instead of going to Edit Transform, Rotate, I'm going to hit Command T on my keyboard, and it's going to bring up the bounding box. And I'm going to go to the corner so I could see a little bit of a curve, and I will rotate the parsley until I see fit. Now that our composition is in place, we'll crop the image to a final size. What we're going to use is the crop tool, like we used in the last project. You can either press C, or go to the toolbar on the left and select the crop tool. After we've selected the tool, we can see a bounding grid, which will start to move on all four sides. Once we've cropped our image, we can see there are some scraps left in the corner. We can fix that by using the brush tool and using a white color and just painting over for filling in the background. To complete our composition, we're going to add a drop shadow effect behind some of the objects that we placed on the plate. In order to add the effects, we have to make a selection of the object again. In our Layers panel, we're going to hover over the display icon, and we're going to hold Command on our keyboard and click once. This will select the outer edges and pixels within the layer. After making that selection, we'll go to the bottom of the Layers panel and click the Add a Layer Style button. We will then choose Drop Shadow from the pop-up menu. After making some minor adjustments to the default settings, we're going to run with the following. Now our cheeseburger has a soft drop shadow effect, which you could see in the Layers panel. We are going to add this same effect at the same settings to other layers. In order to do so, we're going to hover over the layer effect in the Layers panel while holding Option, clicking and dragging and dropping onto the next layer. I've added this effect to just about everything but the ketchup, since it looked odd. Now we have our final composition, Chef's Kiss. Make sure you save your work. Give it an appropriate title. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you on the next video.